The third installment into the Watch Dogs franchise, known as Watch Dogs Legion, has had fans on the edge of their seats eagerly anticipating the game's release. But with delay after delay, the game is forever moving out of reach from players who are impatiently waiting for an official release date. The game's production, however, is still in full swing, and in this video I will be bringing you the top 5 reasons why you should be excited for Watch Dogs Legion. Number 5. London City. After the dreary rendition of Watch Dogs Chicago and the much more colourful and livelier San Francisco of Watch Dogs 2, with Legion, Ubisoft are now taking this series across the pond all over the United Kingdom, and more specifically to London. True to the series' aesthetic, it's not an exact one-to-one replica of the city, and instead based off it and realised in a way as to suit the series' near future and cyberpunk-like narrative backdrop. Now, Watch Dogs Legion seems to have a very interesting narrative setup going for it based on everything we've seen so far. Set in the near future, as we discussed, London has become an Orwellian dystopia. Its surveillance state, with a city filled with cameras and skies filled with drones, and the Big Brother always keeping 1,000 eyes on all citizens at all times. Now, the hacker group known as DedSec is always the one to stand against the authoritarian regime and is building up a resistance to fight back. Though it's a scarily realistic and engrossing setup, Watch Dogs Legion doesn't look like it'll be making the mistake of the first game by taking itself too seriously, and there's plenty of the personality and humour in there that made the second game so fun. Number 4. Every NPC is a playable character. Now, the term NPCs has lost all meaning to Ubisoft with Watch Dogs Legion because the game is dropping the N in NPC entirely. Now, true to the rumours, players can recruit every single NPC in the game to DedSec's cause, as you gather and build up a resistance to fight back against London's authoritarian regimes. Every NPC you recruit, you can play as. In fact, that's who you'll be playing as the entire time. There is no one single protagonist in Watch Dogs Legion, and every single character in London is the protagonist, and you decide who gets to be a part of the story. Now, of course, with a concept and idea as ambitious as this, some questions and doubts will obviously arise. Now, to save themselves a bucket load of work, does that mean Ubisoft will end up cutting corners in things such as voice lines and have canned, junky animations for all the characters? No, Ubisoft has confirmed that the NPC in Watch Dogs Legion will be fully voiced and animated. Now, for instance, that old lady Helen who stole the show in the gameplay we've seen, she moves and speaks like a proper old lady, as she should. We can expect every NPC in the game to have similar treatment, or I hope so at least. Now, the concept of being able to play as any character you see in all of London is very exciting on paper. But what if that ends up making very little difference to the overall gameplay? What if they're different looking people on the surface, but when you actually get down to playing them and getting to know them, they're all the same person? Now, Ubisoft is assuring fans that that's not going to be the case either. Every character in the game has their own personality and backstory, strengths and weaknesses. Some might be good at operating drones, others might be good as imposing brawlers with melee specializations, while others still could be pro hackers and so on. It remains to be seen how varied and in-depth this ends up being in the game, but based on what we've been told and what we've seen so far, Legion is definitely headed in the right direction. And of course, depending on the character you're playing as, the cutscenes will match that specific character. Number 3. Combat and stealth. Now we get down to the basics. How does Watch Dogs Legion handle combat? There's stealth and melee combat and gunplay, of course, but how does that game balance in all of those? As per Ubisoft, there's a strong emphasis on stealth, which is usually the best way forward in these situations. If you don't want to go the stealthy route, the game is still focused on non-lethal combat, with half of the weapons in the game being non-lethal as per Ubisoft. While you're wreaking havoc in London during the course of your sandbox gameplay, you can also get captured or arrested. So how does Legion handle that? Do you lose a chunk of your money and get it right back into the action? No, you have to take control of one of your other recruits, and if you want that character back, you can rescue them yourself. Number 2, permanent. Now, here's one of the most interesting aspects that has the potential to take the whole play as anyone step even further. Every character you play as in Legion can die permanently. As showcased in a gameplay demonstrated at E3, you might be in the middle of a mission, and if the character you're playing as dies, that's it, they're dead. You either play as one of the other characters you've recruited, or you find someone else in London with that required skill set. And number 1, next-gen consoles. That's right, it has finally been confirmed that Watch Dogs Legion will be coming out on the Xbox Series X and the PS5, meaning that not only will the graphics be better and the gameplay smoother, but the play as anyone mechanic in the game will look even better and work fantastically. And I, for one, am excited to finally get my hands on the next-gen Watch Dogs experience. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, click the like button down below, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.